Om Sadashiva-Samarambham
Sadaşiva-Samaranam
Shankaracharya-Madhyamam
Shankaracharya-Madhyamam
Asmadacharya-Paryantam
Madhacharya-Paryantam
Vande
Vande Guru Paramparam
Guru-Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu
Anavavatu
Sahana
Sanau
Bhunaktu Sahaviryam
Punakvidyam
Karvavahai
Karvavasi
Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma
Tamastu
Vidvishavahai
Mavidvishavahai
Om Shanti Shanti
Shanti
Shanti
Shanti
Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Okay, is Arvind there?
Yes, Ravi.
So Arvind, we would like you to chant the third part of the last Anuvaka, which starts with Yasha Eti Pashushu.
One moment.
Yasha Eti Pashushu, Jyotiriti Nakshatreshu, Prajatir Amritam Ananda Ityupasthe.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Just one moment.
Yeah.
Is anybody using the Mantra Pushpam book there? Can you tell me the line number?
No, I'm not using that. I'm using the other.
Or can I chant the entire last Anuvakam once?
Yeah, sure, you do that.
Nakanchana Vasato Pratyachakshita from there.
See, are you seeing Nakanchana Vasato?
Yes, Nakanchana Vasato.
Just below that is Evam Veda Kshemiti Vachihi.
Correct.
Below that is Yasha Eti Pashashu. After Balamiti Vidyuti.
Balamiti Vidyuti. Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Om अथ दैवीः तृप्तिरिति वृष्टौ बलमिति विद्युति यश इति पशुषु ज्योतिरिति नक्षत्रेषु प्रजातिरमृतमानन्द इत्युपस्थे सर्वमित्याकाशे तत्प्रतिष्ठेत्युपासीत प्रतिष्ठावान् भवति तन्मह इत्युपासीत महान् भवति तन्मन इत्युपासीत मानवान् भवति तन्नम इत्युपासीत नम्यन्ते एस्मै कामाः तद्ब्रह्मेत्युपासीत ब्रह्मवान् भवति तद्ब्रह्मणः परिमर इत्युपासीत पर्येण म्रियन्ते द्विषन्तः सपत्नाः पर्ये प्रिया भ्रातृव्याः स यश्चायं पुरुषे यश्चासावादित्ये स एकः स य एवंवित् अस्माल्लोकात् प्रेत्य एतमन्नमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रम्य एतं प्राणमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रम्य एतं मनोमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रम्य एतं विज्ञानमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रम्य एतमानन्दमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रम्य इमान् लोकान् कामान्निकामरूप्यनुसञ्चरन् एतत्थामगायन्नास्ते ha vuha vuha vu ahamanna mahamannam ahamannado ohamannado ohamannadah अहग्गश्लोककृदहग्गश्लोककृदहग्गश्लोककृत् अहमस्मि प्रथमजा ऋता स्य पूर्वं देवेभ्यो अमृतस्य ना भाई यो मा ददाति स इदेव मा वाह अहमन्नमन्नमदन्तमाग्नि अहं विश्वं भुवनमभ्यभवां सुवर्णज्योतिः य एवं वेद इत्युपनिषत् सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. So in the last class, we had done up to Prajaritir Amritam Ananda Ityupasthe. So now we look at the next line of the mantra, Sarvam Ityakashe. Now, if you remember, we said that the last upasana on the Upastha Indriya should actually have been classified under Adhyatmika Upasana, because Upastha is part of the Adhyatmika. So it appears here in Devi, but mentally at least, because we cannot correct the Shruti, mentally we have to say that, okay, we are going to reclassify under Adhyatmika. Then Akasha comes in. And this is another group altogether. So why is it a second group? If you look at what we have studied so far, look at all the upasanas in this section. And now we are saying that with this line of Sarvam iti Akashe, we are starting another group of upasanas. Why is that so? Why is it a second group? Anybody? If you have been following the mantras, you should see the difference. No one? It's pretty obvious actually. The entire thing of the Adhyatmika, is it Sakara or Nirakara? Formed or formless?
Sakar.
Sakara. And what is Akasha?
Nirakar.
Akasha, Nirakara. And therefore, so far everything was with form, Sakara. Now, another group is starting, which is Nirakara. So, we are taking Akasha as the Alambanam, the symbol on which Brahman will be invoked. Remember, these are all upasanas. So, you have an Alambanam on which you are invoking Brahman. And this upasana is a very, very important, a very significant upasana for us, because as Vedantic students, we have to learn to refine the mind to encompass the formless Brahman, to understand the formless Brahman. And therefore, Shruti says that you first use another formless entity, which is actually a Panchamahabhuta, it's actually element. So you use that, you use the Karyam as the Karyam Akasha, Karya Akasha as the Alambanam, the symbol, invoke Brahman on that, and with that refine your mind so that later you can understand formless Brahman itself, right? So it says Sarvam iti Akasha. So in that Akasha, Akashe Sarvam, in that Akasha, you see everything as Sarvam. Sarvam means what? Everything. Everything means what? Brahman. Therefore, Sarvam iti Akasha means in the Akasha you see Sarvam. You are invoking or you are perceiving that Akasha as Brahman itself. You are invoking Brahman into Akasha. Right. Now remember, Akasha is the Karanam of Vayu. Vayu is the Karanam of Agni. Where did we see this?
Tattvabodha.
Tattvabodha. Good. Now, therefore, all the other 4 Panchamahabhutanis are a product of Akasha. Akasha is the Karanam and Vayu, Jalam, Agni, Prithvi. They are all Karyam of Akasha. And if you have been following the connection between Karanam and Karyam, what do we say? That the Karyam does not exist, the product does not exist separate from the cause. Karyam is not separate from Karanam. And therefore now we are saying that this Vayu, Agni, Jalam, Prithvi, they are not separate from Akasha at all, because Akasha is the very Karyam itself, right? And therefore anything, any of the Pancha Mahabhutas, you can say that they are, any of the 4 Mahabhutas, you can say that they are nothing but Akasha alone. And Akasha is formless, it is the most subtle, and therefore we can meditate upon that subtle formless Akasha, and meditation will refine our mind, and therefore we say that Akasha is the closest to Brahman. Closest means there are some similarities. There are a lot of similarities between Brahman and Akasha, and therefore by first meditating upon Akasha, you can refine your mind, and therefore thereafter focus on Brahman. What are some of the similarities? Both Akasha is invisible, Brahman is invisible. Indriya agocharam. Both are not available to your sense organs, non-tangible. Akasha is Indriya agocharam and Brahman is also Indriya agocharam. Both are asangaha. Akasha cannot be polluted. Brahman cannot be polluted. Right? Both are non-divisible. Akhandaha. You cannot cut Akasha. You cannot cut Brahman. Both are ekam. They are only one. There is one Akasha only. There are not many Akashas. There is one Brahman only. Both are sarvagataha, all pervading. Akasha pervades everything. Brahman also pervades everything. Akasha is the adharam, the very substratum of everything else. Brahman is the substratum of everything, including Akasha. And both are atyanta sukshmam, very, very subtle. And therefore Shastra says that if you can train your mind to meditate on Akasha, you are refining the mind to be able to comprehend Brahman itself. And therefore, Upanishad is saying this is a different group of upasanas that I am presenting. And now you will find that a series of upasanas on Akasha is discussed. In each of these upasanas, different attributes, Akasha with a different attribute is the upasyam, is the subject of meditation. And therefore it is, the meditation is what? On Brahman itself, right? So, but what are you doing? You are taking Akasha with different attributes. And in that form, with that attribute, Akasha is being meditated upon as Ishvara or as Brahman. Therefore, in the scriptures we call it Guna Vishishta Akasha, which means Akasha with specific gunas. Guna Vishishta Akasha Rupa Ishvara Upasanam. Ishvara Upasanam in the form of Guna Vishishta Akasha. Akasha with different gunas. And the first one is Tat Pratishteti Upasita. Pratishtha iti upasita. Pratishtha is the support. and you have to meditate upon Akasha as the support of everything else. And in his commentary, Shankara points out something very important. Normally, when you say Akasha, you are, what is your, orientation? You will take Akasha as inert or conscious? Inert Akasha. Now, the point is, when you say meditate, what is the benefit of meditating upon an inert Akasha? And therefore, Shankara says, don't do that. Akasha here has to be taken as Akasha Devata. And therefore, the word Tat, Pratishtha, means that Akasha Devata is the Pratishtha, the Adharam, the substratum of everything. So it is not Akasha Panchabhuta, which we are talking about. It is Chetana Akasha Devata, the Devata of Akasha, who is a conscious entity. And therefore, iti upasita, may you meditate. What is the phalam? Pratishthavan bhavati. Remember, the phalam depends, the general rule. The phalam of any upasana depends upon the type of upasana. You can have sakama upasana, you can have nishkama upasana. And here, when you say that pratishthavan bhavati, he is talking about sakama upasana. Because you are meditating upon Akasha as the support of everything, this person, pratishthavan bhavati, he will have enough support in his life, right? And this becomes very important as the body ages, because as the body ages, your own faculties get weaker, and therefore you need support. So he says a person who meditates upon Akasha as the pratishtha of everything, that person will have lots of support throughout his life. Bhagavan will also support. Okay, one small grammatical point here. Here it says pratishthavan, okay, van with a V. Now there are other places like, for example, Jyotir, Jyotiman, we say. Some of the suffixes end with van, va, and the other suffix is ma, but it is the same meaning, full of that particular thing. So Jyotirman means a person who is full of Jyoti, Balavan, who is full of Balam, and so on. Jyotishman, full of Jyoti, right? Why is it that some words have the suffix van and some words suffix man? Of course, this is not relevant to the discussion, okay, but we should know. So in Sanskrit grammar, there is a rule. If the word ends with a, that akara, then you have to add van. In any other case, you have to add man, right? So here you can see pratishtha. So it is a pratishtha, pratishthavan, balavan, la, another word apart from a, so balavan, similarly jyotishman, and so on. So wherever the word ends with a vowel other than a, you should have man. Anyway, that's by the way. Then you go to the next upasana. It says tan maha ityupasita. So if you break that up, tat maha iti upasita. Tat. Tat refers to whom? The Akasha Devata. So tat Akasha Devata maha iti upasita. You should meditate iti upasita. You should meditate upon the Akasha Devata as maha. Maha means mahan, greatest. Akasha is the greatest because it is not like any other Panchamahabhuta. It's subtle, it's all pervading. All these qualities are there. Closest to Brahman, therefore, it is the greatest Panchamahabhuta. So, if that Akasha you meditate upon as the greatest, what is the phalam? Yatha upasate, tata phalam. Whatever you meditate upon, in the same way you will get the fruit. And therefore, since you are meditating upon Akasha as Mahan, Shruti says Mahan Bhavati. The meditator will also become very great, a very glorious person, famous in the world. Then a third upasana, Tanmana ityupasita. Tat Manaha upasita. May you meditate upon that Akasha. So actually you have to add Akasha Rupa Brahman. The Akasha which is in the form of Brahman, because you're invoking Brahman. And what is the specific attribute, guna of the Akasha that you're meditating upon? As Manaha, as mind, as the thinking power. So anything which you understand, Manute anena iti manaha. By that which you understand anything, that is the mind. So he says, meditate upon that Brahman whom you have invoked on the Akasha as the mind. And what is the phalam? Manavan bhavati. Again you can see mana. That is the is the ending. So it becomes van. Manavan bhavati. He will be blessed with the power, with a strong mind, with a strong thinking capacity, the strong discriminative capacity, independent thinking he will have. All this is what? The fruit of Sakama Upasana. The general rule is in Sakama Upasana, whatever is the quality you meditate upon, you will also acquire that quality. That is for Sakama Upasana. What is the fruit of Nishkama Upasana in any manner? We have seen enough times. What is the fruit of Nishkama Upasana?
Chitta Shuddhi.
Chitta Shuddhi is the fruit of Nishkama Upasana. So this is, remember, this is a general rule. Wherever an Upasana is done in a Nishkama manner, the fruit is Chitta Shuddhi. And wherever it is done in Sakama manner, the same Upasana will give you the attribute of Ishvara which you have meditated upon. Then one more Upasana is there. Tannama iti upasita. So again you break up. Tat nama iti upasita. Nama is the Namaskara principle. Obeisances, Namaskara. And what is the phalam? Namyante asmai kamaha. Very beautiful line. Asmai kamaha namyante. Because he is meditating upon Ishvara as the Namaskara principle, any object, again, Sakama Upasana, okay. So any object which he desires will do asmai namyante. Kamaha, object of desire, asmai namyante, will do Namaskara to the meditator. Which means he will get all his desires will serve him. Kama is the objects of desire. He will get them all without making a special effort. So Namaha is Namanam. Namanam is Namaha. That is what is meant by Nama here. Nama, Namanam, or Namaha. Prostrations. Paying obeisances. Right? Now there is another Bhashyakara, not Shankaracharya. There is another commentator on the Taittiriya called Sayana Acharya. So in his Bhashyam, he takes Namanam as Vashikaranam. Vashikaranam means being a student under an Acharya. So that is one more interpretation which we can see which is there, but we are dealing largely with Shankaracharya's interpretations. Then one more Upasana. Tat Brahma iti upasi. You have to meditate upon that Akasha as Brahman. And what is Brahman? Brahman is the infinite, limitless one. What is the phalam? Brahmavan bhavati. He will also become limitless. So Brahma means, Shankaracharya writes, Pari Bridatamam. That which has expanded to the maximum. It means infinite it is, right? That infinite Brahman he will become limitless. All his glories will be as infinite as Brahmans. Okay. Then the next Upasana is Tad Brahmanaha Parimara iti Upasita. So this Parimara is a word which we don't know. So Shankara defines. Sarvam mriyante anena iti Parimaraha. Mriyante means which kills or destroys. So that Sarvam mriyante anena, that by which everything is destroyed, iti Parimaraha. That is Parimara. And therefore now you are meditating upon Akasha as the destructive power of Ishvara. Okay, how to understand? We saw that the four Panchabhutas, they resolve into Akasha. So at the time of Pralayam, it literally means what? The five Panchabhutas are the elements from which the universe is formed. And so during Pralayam, each Prithvi resolves backwards, like Prithvi resolves, then Agni resolves, then Jalam resolves. So everything finally resolves into Akasha only. And so at the time of Pralayam, everything resolves into Akasha. So that is why Akasha is here known as Paritaha, Parimaraha, the destructive agent. With the destructive power of Ishvara, everything resolves into that Akasha. And if you meditate upon Akasha as the destructive power of Ishvara, what is the phalam? Pariyenam riyante dushantaha sapatnaha. Pari ye priyaha bhatravyaha. Look at the words. Dishvanta sapatnaha. People who dislike you. And there are two types of people. Dishvanta sapatnaha, people who dislike you. These are all enemies, right? And the second one is what? Apriya bhatravyaha. So there are two aspects of dislike. One is those who dislike you, and one is those whom you dislike. So both are covered here. Dishvanta sapatnaha, Dishanta sapatnaha, the ones who dislike you, the enemies who dislike you, and apriya bhatravyaha, those people whom you like. So sapatnaha is enemies. Dvishwantaha means those who dislike me. So sapatnaha, dvishwantaha, those enemies who dislike me. And bhatravyaha is, now you have to be very careful here. Bhratra can also mean nephew. Okay, so the normal family tree will have bhratra, meaning the nephew, your brother's son. But here Shankara gives it the meaning of shatru, an enemy. So apriya shatru is apriya bhatravyaha, apriya shatruhu, which means those people whom I dislike. And what happens to them all? Paryena mriyante. They will all be destroyed. Parimriyante, they will all perish. Okay. Now, we are actually in Jnanakanda. So why should the Upanishad talk about destruction of enemies? You should understand that at the level at which we are now talking, your enemy destruction is not physical destruction of the enemy. It is destruction of the enmity that you have or they have with you. What is the advantage of that interpretation? Once the enmity is destroyed, the status of enemy is also resolved. He will no longer be an enemy. So then what is going to be meant here is that the person who meditates like this on the destructive power of Ishvara, for him, people will stop disliking him and he will stop disliking people. So this is the benefit of the Upasana. There's another commentator who says that enemy has to be interpreted as your internal enemies, kama, krodha, lobha, matsaryam, etc. The enemies who are born along with my mind and they get destroyed. Either way, both interpretations are refined ones, they are good. With this, the Akasha Upasana is over. So we saw three groups of Upasanas: Adhyatmika, Adhi Daivika, and Akasha. Right? So the Upasana portion is over. Now the next two mantras, they revert back to the original topic of Brahma Jnanam and Brahma Jnana Phalam. The idea is to point out that the main purpose of Shruti is not Upasana. These are all supplementary or subsidiary objectives. All are supporting sadhanas, but ultimately they have to lead to Brahma Jnanam alone. So now you see the next one. Saha yaschayam purushe yascha savaditye sa ekaha. When you can go back, you can look at the second chapter, the 8th Anuvaka, the last few lines, it is lifted from there practically, but the meaning is the same. And therefore, sa means that. That is what the second chapter, this particular portion deals with Ananda. So, sa Anand, you have to take that sa as Anandaha. That Anandaha, yaha cha ayam purushe. So, we saw all this in that Anuvaka, but I'm just simply repeating what we said. That Ananda, which is obtaining into Jiva. So, Ananda should be taken as Ananda Atma. So, that Ananda, which is in the Purusha, Purusha is Jiva over here, that Ananda is Yaha Asau. That Ananda is there in Aditya also. Yaha Asau Aditya. That Ananda which appears in the Jiva is the same as that Ananda which appears in Aditya. Aditya Surya Mandalam on which Ishvara is invoked. And therefore, we are saying that the Ananda Atma obtaining in the Jiva is the same as the Ananda Atma obtaining in Ishvara. And therefore, he says Sa Ekaha. They are both one and the same. The original Ananda we are talking about, Ekaha. The Bimbananda, the original Ananda is the same. But of course, reflected Ananda, Pratibimba Ananda will vary from person to person because Pratibimba Ananda, the reflection depends upon the reflecting medium. So we are not talking about that. We are saying the original Ananda, whether it be in the Jiva or whether it be in Brahman or Ishvara, there is no variation at all. It is the same. And therefore, Sa, Ya, Evam Mit. One who understands that Brahman in this manner, what happens to him? Asman Lokat Pretya. When he leaves this world, right? When he breaks his identification with the external world. So Loka here can be taken as external objects. So Asman Lokat Pretya, when this Jnani, he breaks his identification with external objects. In other words, the mind, that mind, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Mamakara, when he breaks, what happens to him? That is being said over here. So that Jnani, he breaks this Mamakara. Remember that all forms of relationships belong to only Sthula Shriram, not even to Sukshmam. All relationships are between gross bodies only. Subtle bodies have no relatives. Atma has no relatives. So when this person breaks this identification, what happens? Etam annamayam atmanam upasankramya. Upasankramya means, literally means leaving, right? Departure. But here it is non-identification. This is the first step of Panchakosha. Etam annamayam atmanam upasamkramya. He breaks his identification with Annamaya Kosha as himself. And that identification is called Ahankaraha. When Mamakara is broken, Ahankara will also be broken. So the first one is the physical body. Etam, this Annamayam Atmanam, this Annamaya Kosha, Upasamkramya, he crosses over. He breaks the identification. Then Etam Pranamayam Atmanam Upasamkramya. He disidentifies with the Pranamaya also, and then goes to Etam Manomayam Atmanam Upasamkramya. He transcends the Manomaya, and we saw in the discussion on the Panchakosha Viveka, transcending means saying that I am not this is not me, I am not this, and I is the Atma. If a moment you say I am not Manomaya, you are saying that Manomaya is Anatma because I am Atma. Therefore, he transcends the Manomaya, reducing it to Anatma. Similarly, Vijnanamaya Atmanam Upasamkramya, he transcends the Vijnanamaya Atmanam, Vijnanamaya Kosha, reduces that to Anatma also. Etam Anandamayam Atmanam Upasamkramya. He transcends the Anandamaya Kosha also and reduces that also to Anatma. All these koshas, here's Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. The suffix maya indicates product, vikara, karyam, right? So in terms of Sanskrit grammar, if you put maya to something, it is in the meaning of vikara. Vikara arthe mayat. It means it is a product, right? So similarly, pranamaya is savikaram with changes. Anandamaya, everything up to anandamaya, it's all with changes. Therefore, all pleasures up to anandamaya is in the form of experienced pleasure, right? All experienced ananda, therefore, should be understood as maya, which is product. Any product is anatma only. For all ananda which is experienced is anatma only. And therefore, you have to understand that from this, what Shruti is implying is that you can experience all anatma ananda, but nobody can experience atma ananda. And again, experienced is past tense, and therefore it has been associated with an object, which is the kosha. So the understanding is that all the pleasures which I experience is pratibimba ananda. When you cross the anandamaya kosha, that is the understanding that you have. Any pleasure which I experience is up to this kosha only. Beyond this kosha, you cannot experience, you can only understand. And therefore Shankara says, by gradually crossing over the 5 koshas in sequence, uses the word kramena sankramya. In sequence, you have to cross. What are those koshas? They are born out of avidya. And if you have crossed the 5 koshas, you have crossed over avidya. So what will happen? You have got jnanam, right? So this is jnanam. Now, here onwards, the jnana phalam will be talked about. What is the jnana phalam? It is in the form of the knowledge. Any jnana phalam, Brahma jnana phalam is in the form of the knowledge that I am Brahma, I am Purnaha. This Aham Brahmasi means I am Anantaha. That understanding that I am eternal, I am infinite, and therefore nothing is needed by me. Because I'm infinite, every finite object I already have. And this is called Jivan Mukti, freedom from samsara. And here in the rest, he gives this as a song of the Jnani. This understanding is presented as a song. It is a song of the Jnani. And this is called Samagana. It's expressed in the form of Vedic song, Samagana. The Atmananda which is present in Atma Jnani is being presented as a song. In this song, there are many participles. Ha, hu, ha. And you'll find that when you look at the script, you will find that against some of the numbers you have, some of the words you have a 3 on top, a Devanagari 3, right? So it just means that the 3 means that particular accent has to be lengthened as they do in music. Not dirgha, it's one step more than dirgha, right? You have 1, 2, and 3. So there is a 1 is a 1, then the second one, this is the third one. Extensively pronouncing it, a long pronunciation. So he says, he takes this jnani as a sannyasi, Shankara, right? Therefore he says anusancharan, he moves about. Where? Iman lokan. You can look at that. Iman lokan in the first word. In these worlds he moves. Which are the worlds? Bhuloka, Suvarloka, all these words, right? Now, the possible question is there. This jnani we are talking about is Brahman, all right, but he has got a body, right? Right now he is alive. He is a Jivan Muktaha. How is it possible for a Jivan Muktaha to travel in all these various worlds? Bhuloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka. It is not possible. The body is not made to travel in other worlds, right? So very clear indication that anybody who says, I went to another world, well, you know what to think about it. So some commentators add over here. They give the answer. Shruti says that Anusancharani moves about because the Jnani knows that he is everything. And therefore, anybody traveling in any loka is none other than the Jnani himself with a different body. A Brahman reflected in another body as a jiva is traveling in some other loka, but jnani knows the essence is Brahman alone. Therefore, I only am traveling as reflected consciousness. So that is the understanding of travels in other lokas. And then kamani. So kamani is, Shankara clarifies this, kamani means the one who gets whatever he wants by kama rupi, by taking any form at his own will. So he can take any form. So here Shruti itself is talking about change of forms. Sub-commentators clarify, Shankara doesn't comment, okay? Sub-commentators clarify that these refer to the powers of a yogi. So in many places you come across siddhis where the yogi can take any form. He says this refers to the powers of a yogi. And of course, the same sub-commentators add that jnani need not be a yogi. Yogi here is taken as somebody with extraordinary powers. Jnani need not be a yogi because jnanam alone is sufficient for him. At the same time, if you are a yogi with miraculous powers, understand that you more likely than not, you are not a jnani because you have been involved with those powers. Okay, so this is one meaning. There's another meaning, kamani. He gets or eats whatever he gets. Kama means whatever comes, he eats. And kama rupi is taken up with another meaning. He does not have any role, specific role to play. So whatever role is necessary in accordance with the requirements of the situation, that role he plays. If the society needs puja, he will be a bhakta. If the society needs work, he will do karma. So this is what is needed, right? If there are people whose minds are prepared, he will become a guru. He will become Brahma Vidya Upadeshakarta. If he is playing with children, he will don the role of a child, right? So Shankaracharya says elsewhere that a jnani is a person who does not need any specific role to be happy. He enjoys all roles because life has become an entertainment and therefore he sings in joy. So, etat sama gayan aste. Etat sama gayan aste. He sings the following songs. In the midst of all his activities, he sings in this world. And the song is here from Havu to Ya Evam Veda. That is the song. So that we saw it. Arvind chanted it beautifully for us. So Shankara gives another meaning. He says that which is same in everything. That is to say, Sama. Sama is same in everything. Right? And that same in everything is who? One who is present as the same in everything is Brahman. Therefore, Shankaracharya says this Gayan Shabda, the words Gaya, Gayan, singing, should be taken as singing the glories of Brahman. Why is that so? Because for the Jnani, Brahman glorification is nothing less than self-glorification, right? So you might ask, self-glorification even I do, am I different? Am I different from a Jnani? No, there's a difference. If you are identified with Anatma and you are attributing glories to yourself, that is not correct, that is Ahankara. Why? Because no glory ever belongs to you. All glories belong to Brahman alone. And therefore, as a person who is identified with my body and mind, if I say I am glorious, then I am very egoistic. But if I am identified with Atma, if I am Brahman, if I am a Jnani, then the statement that the glories belong to me, that is a statement of fact. It is not boasting at all, right? So now starts the glories. The first one is Havu, Havu, Havu. So what does Havu mean? In Samagana, the Havu is the equivalent of the word Aho. Aho in Sanskrit means what? We have seen Aho many times, in Gita also. When the expression Aho is used,
Ashcharya.
Ashcharya.
Surprise.
A surprise, wonder, not surprise, wonder, right?
Wonder.
So Havu is the Samagana version of Aho, and it means Ashcharyam. And what is the greatest Ascharyam? He says, I, the eternal Brahman, somehow became a samsari. And this is not logical. And then what is a great wonder? And how can the infinite become the finite? Nirguna became Saguna, Nirvakara became Savikara. And that's a wonder. And this is repeated thrice. Havu, havu, havu. To indicate that the Ascharyam is very, very high. Superlative Ascharyam. And then he says, who am I really? Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. Okay, so annam here means it covers the objects of experience, of any experience. Again, the repetition thrice is to indicate the Ascharyam. He says, I am the annam itself, I am the annam itself, I am the annam itself, which means I am nothing but the whole universe. Right? I am the object. And then he says, Aham annadaha, aham annadaha, aham annadaha. I am also the subject. So in literally it means I am the food and I am the eater. But in this context, it means I am the object as well as the subject. Somehow I have bifurcated myself, Nirguna Brahman, in whom no differentiation exists, no differences exist. Somehow I have bifurcated myself into the experiencer and the object of the experience. And then aham slokakrit, aham slokakrit, aham slokakrit. The slokakrit literally means the instrument or the bond which links the experiencer and the experienced object. So what links me and, let us say, the glass? It is the karanam, the instrument of seeing. When I am seeing the glass, there is a link between me and the glass. That link is the eyes, the instrument of karanam. Therefore, that is one more aspect to it. What is the first thing? I am the seer. Second is I am the seen. So aham annam is I am the seer, I am the seen. Aham annadaha, I am the seer. And aham slokakrit, I am also the cause of the seeing. That indriya which causes the seeing, I am. Therefore, karta I am, karma I am, karanam also I am. Right? And this meaning is been given by Shankaracharya, who says that annam annadaha sanghataha. The connection between the bhokta and the bhogyam, between the experiencer and the experienced object, that is to be understood as shloka over here. Shloka also has a meaning used many times in Taittiriya. What is that? What did we say? Adetat shloko bhavati. In that, the meaning is Rig mantra. That meaning is not to be taken. You have to take it here as karta, karma, karanam. All three I am. Basically means I am the Triputi itself. I am that nirvikalpa atma, but I am appearing as the savikalpa prapancha. Right? I am that changeless atma, constantly appearing as the constantly changing universe. And then he says, ahamasmi prathamaja ritasya. Prathamaja means firstborn. Firstborn is Lord Brahmaji. So Jnani says, I am Brahman. I am also Lord Brahmaji, Hiranyagarbha. And where was I born? Ritasya. Ritasya means in the prapancha, in the universe. This meaning comes from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, from a Brahmanam called Murta Brahmanam. When we see that, we'll see. Basically, Ritasya means the universe, the Murta, Amurta Prapancha, which means the whole universe. The visible and non-visible universe, I was born in that. And when was I born? Purvam Devebhyaha. Even before the birth of any other god, I was born. And Amritasya Na Bhai. So Na Bhai is again Tama language for Nabhi. Nabhi is the center, the immortal center, the hub. And therefore he says, I am that very source, the hub of immortality. Right? And Yo Ma Dadati, the one who gives me Annam, Ma avaha. Ava means to save. The one who gives me annam, he saves me. I am protected by him. Idameva, in this manner alone. So the one who gives annam is saving in this manner alone. So here remember, he doesn't use annam. He says what? Ma, eva. He uses the word ma. Because he has earlier said that he is annam itself. And ma means anna rupa mam. I in the form of annam. And then, what happens if you do not share food? Annam, aham, annam, adantam, admi. So that word has to be broken up carefully. Aham, annam, aham, adantam, admi. So the annam, will admi. Admi means eat or destroy. Who? Adantam. Adantam is the one who has not given annadanam. Therefore, this is also there. What happens if you do not share food? I, annam, will destroy the one who eats me without sharing. And that is why annadanam is so important in this culture. And then he says, aham bhuvanam abhyabhavam. Aham vishvam bhuvanam abhyabhavam. Aham, I Brahman, Vishwam, the entire Vishwam Bhuvanam. So Vishwam here doesn't mean the Jagat, it means entire. Vishwam Bhuvanam. Bhuvanam is universe, so Vishwam Bhuvanam means entire universe. So Aham Vishwam Bhuvanam, I Brahman, the entire universe, Abhyabhama, I pervade. So I Brahman pervade this whole universe. I am present in the entire universe. How? Suvarna Jyotihi, like the sun, light of the sun. The self-effulgence of the Chaitanyam is being referred to. Suvarna Jyotihi is basically light of the sun. The sun doesn't need any other light to show it. So it is that quality which he is referring to. Jyotihi means the self-revealing nature of Chaitanyam. Suvarnam is like the sun. And this, what is the phalam? Enjoy your Brahmanhood. Ya evam Veda. Whoever gains this knowledge, it doesn't matter what kind of person, old, young, male, female, white, black, brown. And he says it stops here. So we have to complete the sentence. Typical of the style of the Shruti, they leave the sentence incomplete, knowing that you have understood. But we'll just complete it. Ye evam Veda, the person who knows, who gets this knowledge, what will happen to him? Saha muktaha bhavati. He will be free. Iti Upanishad. With this, the Taittiriya Upanishad has ended. Om Tat Sat. It ends with the last Shanti Mantra, which again we have chanted. Any questions? It's a very beautiful Upanishad, but it has taken quite some time, understandably. So, judging by the total silence, either you have understood fully or you have not understood at all. Which is it? Om. Guys?
Understood.
Understood, sir.
Okay. So, with this, we'll stop for today. I only want to ask one question. Should we continue with an Upanishad next class, or should we just break and say that we'll do some Prakarana Grantha?
I think we should continue with Upanishads, sir.
Okay, one for Upanishad. Anybody else?
Yeah, Upanishads.
Two Upanishad. Anybody else?
Would like a Prakarana Grantha.
Vandana wants Prakarana Grantha.
Prakarana Grantha.
Two for two.
आप डिसाइड कीजिए.
Acharya ji, there
Yeah.
are some people that is not attending today. Why don't we put like a poll in the group? Or
Yeah, okay, fine. That's great. Vandana, would you undertake that, please? Can you do a poll to ask which should we do? The next Upanishad is Mandukya Upanishad. Very, very heavy and takes a long time. Alternatively, we can do some Prakarana Grantha. We can make a poll and let us know.
Yes, Acharya. Any suggestion for which Prakarana Grantha you would take up?
That you leave it to me.
Okay.
Okay. Om Purnamada
Purnamada
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.
Acharya ji.
Thank you, Acharya.